Good morning. Today is the 28th day of Elul. I believe it's the 15th or 14th. It's the 14th of September. And we're on page Tetzain, page 16. V'lachen b'sof hagalut. Therefore, at the end of the exile, utigbor et klipat ha'apikosut. That's when the klipa of kfira, the klipa of denial of God's existence, gets stronger. Just as we saw that happened by Paro at the very end of the exile in Egypt. Again, and he already told us that who's to blame. He said, right, the Baal Shem Tov. Why is the Baal Shem Tov to blame? Because the Baal Shem Tov represents the new mindset. And so when the new mindset is ready, so the klipa gets stronger and stronger. Why? Because the old mindset is receding, and the new mindset is not been revealed yet. Okay? Because it hasn't been revealed. So what are people left with? There's nothing. And when we mean it's a little confusing because when we say mindset, it sounds like there hasn't been enough shturim. There hasn't been enough publicity around the new mindset. It's not that. I mean, that's also true. But the problem is that Hashem is not appearing in the world the way that He used to. That's what He's been arguing the whole time, that mindset is not just your conceptual scheme of reality. It's how you sense reality is. So in Abraham's time, they sensed Hashem in a certain way. We don't sense Hashem. It's as if this new way of sensing Hashem is not yet in reality. Nobody sees it. And this, the klipa of apikosut, the husk or the covering, peel, whatever you want to call it, of covering up God's presence, hu inyan milchemet Gog uMagog. This is a very important statement. Okay? So what you read about in all the prophecies of Isaiah and everything that you've heard about this great war that's going to be of this guy Gog from the earth of Magog. The prophecy is a metaphor. It's a symbol for something. The question is, what is it a symbol for? So war is a symbol too. What is it really? It's a war about the apikorsus, about this denial of God. It's not that this guy Gog from the earth of Magog. So he's probably he's not a person. He's a whole mindset that's in the world. So I admit I didn't look up the mimer that he's talking about. And I don't know what the story was there, but I guess there's a story about a ta'ar, about a ta'ar is what you use to shave. It's about a shaving knife in some way. In any case, makrishim metziut elokut legamre. They deny God's existence altogether. Even though we've already had an inkling. So here he's saying, you see that people know about Chasidus. They know about this different way of looking at God now. But they don't sense it. So they know, there's this new thing going on. These Hasidim, they have this new Torah that they've been teaching. In Elul, they're not shaking from fear. They're shaking from awe. And they want to serve Hashem not out of fear, out of love, and all these things. And they've heard about this. They just don't think it's anything of consequence. Why? Because there's no God anyway. So what does it matter if you do it this way or that way? And it's a beautiful statement. He says, Moses says to Pharaoh, from the time that it says to God, from the time that I've come to speak in your name, it's become worse. And that's exactly the story of Chasidus. From the time that the Baal Shem Tov came to speak in Hashem's name, it became worse. And when did the real kfira start? In modernity. When is modernity? About 1700. The Baal Shem Tov was born in 1698. Okay, so not 1700 exactly, 1720, 1730, but that was the prime of the Baal Shem Tov's life. So he came to start speaking, And from the moment that he started speaking, the old, call it the old guard, is gone. The old way of connecting to Hashem is gone. It doesn't function anymore. It's just being worse. And that's what the meaning of the verse in Micah 7:15 says, like the times, like the days of your departure from Egypt, I will show you wonders. Meaning that there's going to be a very similar progression going on when the time comes for the final redemption as there was when Moses came to redeem the Jewish people from Egypt. דהיינו לשיגיע הסתר אלוקות כזה כמו קודם יציאת מצרים וגשמיות ורוחניות בתוקף עול מלכות ועול דרך ארץ ובהסתר אלוקות. So when the time comes for this redemption, the final redemption, there will be such a concealment of godliness, such a concealment as there was in the time of the Exodus. It'll be both physically and spiritually. It'll be with the burden of malchut. This is the worst time in the world. Is now. Why? Because even when there were empires, except for when we're talking about before Egypt. Egypt was like the last empire that was like this. But even when there was like the Roman Empire or anything after that, after already Judaism was founded, the empires did not hold such a lock on people's lives. They didn't care. They didn't use them as slaves. That was in Egypt and in Babylon. But after that was gone, in Rome, there were, of course, in the Roman Empire, there were, of course, people in the state of slaves. But most of the people weren't slaves. And when you were free, you were free. So there was taxation, but that was about it. Nobody told you if you should drive your carriage on the left side or right side of the road, as far as I know. Nobody told you that you had to get a license for your carriage every 2 years, every 1 year, and you had to check your wheels. Nobody cared. Now you could say, "Oh, that's a sign of of not caring, really, of anarchy." And why would you want to live in a society like that? But in the end, people felt free. Nobody got involved in your affairs. There was no need to, and they didn't have the bureaucracy to do it. You have to understand that bureaucracy allows governments to get more and more involved in the citizens' lives. And so, ol malchut means that the government is pressuring you. It's not letting you live your life. It's interested in everything you do. So now, if you want to have, for instance, in Tel Aviv, you want to have a separate seating event, you can't, because the government won't let you. Bagats won't let you, because they want to get involved in your life. Who told them they can get involved in my life? I don't want them to get involved in my life. Of course, they protect the people that they want to, but in any case, they have the rules in place to burden you. So he says that's, first of all, that's concealment of God. Not because you're impinging on my privacy. That's not the point. The point is that when I have to worry about you, then I'm not worried about God. Meaning, you've taken his place. And that there's a lot of people who think that way. Like, for instance, modern state of Israel, to say, "Oh, this is the Mashiach." The Mashiach looks like a bureaucracy. No, he probably doesn't. What is he exactly? But he's not, I don't know, but he's not a bureaucracy. He's not into telling you and forcing you to get a license for your car every year. That's not his thing. It's like a whole, again, it's not that I'm against these things now. He's saying that what he's saying is, ol malchut is that you need a passport to go from country to country. That you need to, all these things that the government forces you to do because they can, because they want to govern your lives. And that's why it's called ol malchut, called the burden of the kingdom. Then there's also ol derech eretz. The person has to make a living, and it becomes worse and worse. We know that people, though they had less free time, you used to, 200 years ago, but they were much less preoccupied with their work, because most of the time they didn't work, because you don't work all the time if you're a farmer. You have 3-4 months in the year that you have to work hard. But most of the other time, you can sit and learn. You have most of the time for yourself. So people spent it in building this and improving that. They weren't preoccupied with the work all the time. The world was different. And we know this even now because with cell phones and work has become 24 hours a day. There's almost never any there's never any freedom from it. No rest. And there's also uvester elokut. And above, to top it all, we have the recession, God's presence receding from reality, so that you can't sense anything. You just don't feel it. So all this, עד שיוכלו לומר בחוצפה אפילו על מציאות גילוי אלוקות הנגלה על ידי תורת הבעל שם טוב ותלמידיו שהם דבר שקר. Until the point where someone can say the Chasidus that these people are teaching is fake. It's not true. It's not correct. It's all a lie. And that's what he's talking about. Here he's talking about not just the Misnagdim. He's talking about everyone. Let's just finish the sentence. Just as Pharaoh said, and they shouldn't encumber themselves with lies, words of lies that he said about the Jews. And this is a sign that there's all these burdens, and that the beginning of the light is now, or the beginning of the revelation is now ready. It's already in the world, and it's being completely shunned and denied, is a sign that the new revelation of Hashem is already ready above. And that's why the previous one is gone completely.